So there is no wrist that can control that pronator at that sticky point.
Well, maybe there is, but it ain't my fucking wrist.
I actually wanted to come to that point, Matt. I have a question for you. Like, I'm not sure even if you know how big of an arm wrestling personality you are. I watched your video where you were talking about the announcement of Devon versus Levan, and that video has like 130,000 subscribers. Like, you just come on YouTube, and maybe in terms of views, you may be the third, fourth most popular arm wrestler in the world. Like, you get crazy views, crazy popularity. So naturally, people take a lot of pride in what you have said, quoting your words. Like, your words mean a lot to us fans. So I've got two opinions, one from you and one from Devon. I interviewed Devon recently, less than a month ago, I would say, and Devon said that he still has a lot of trouble dealing with your hand in round one. Since 2014 or 15, you became so much tough for him that he has trouble dealing with your hand at least for one round. But you, on the contrary side, you said that if Devon tried to go hard against you, you would have had nothing for him in the recent practice. So is it mutual respect from both of you, or who is telling us the better version of truth? Like, are you difficult for Devon, but you said no, Devon could have taken you easy if you wanted to. So who should we trust out of the two of you?
Depends on where we're going, right? Like, I can, at the center of the table, I can control, but he's got his sticky points and everything else. Yeah, like at practice, it's practice, right? Like, it's not about, like, if you notice if you watch any of our practice pull sessions where there was 50 people in the room, every single person that went to the table, all they wanted to do was beat Devon, right? It's not about that. It wasn't about that for me when Devon came up. It was more about getting Devon ready for Levan. So it was at that point when he was chippered down, yeah, I could have beat him probably fairly easy, but it wasn't about that. It was about getting him beat down even more. But in that process, I start getting tired, right? And then that's when he's able to capitalize and let him go from there. So, but it's, I don't know, like he has a hard time dealing a bit with my pronation at the beginning of the match, right at the start, but right around here is where the pronation doesn't really matter to him anymore, right? So
what matters there?
What's that?
You said that your pronation doesn't matter there. What matters
the
there?
The angle that he's pulling at, it just, your pronation just dissipates.
Okay, but
it's a complete cock block for your pronation. So if you get him over and you got your wrist, and as soon as you get close to that pad, the angle that he's pulling at, the closer you get to the pad, the more pressure starts applying at your wrist.
So my question is, what you need at that point? More wrist?
I need a press.
Oh, you need press?
Yeah.
So there is no wrist that can control that pronator at that sticky point?
Well, maybe there is, but it ain't my fucking wrist.
So when I made a video about it and I discussed this topic, like even on day one, I think there is a misconception from what I got on your YouTube channel. I think it was the first day when you two were practicing and you two were the only guys in the room. I think day one you practiced fresh for fresh. And at that time I said that Matt still looked fresh for fresh, at least for a couple of pulls, good against Devon. And people were saying that it is Devon, like people always tell, like it is Devon, he always gives everything in practices, so you cannot take anything
anybody
from it, which
that
is true.
Says that I'll stop you for a second. Anybody that says it's practice, Devon lets you get everything you want at a practice table, has never pulled at a practice table with Devon Larratt. So even in the reason why he's so good at what he does and gets what he wants in a setup when he pulls in a big high tournament or a super match is because when he's at a practice, he does the same fucking thing. He's always fighting, right? So, and it's usually when he lets you get everything is when you're really fucking tired, right?
Okay.
So, but that's why he's so good at it, right? Is because he does it over and over and over again with 150 people a night, right?
So this is what I was replying in the comments. Like I got a dozen comments saying that, oh, it is just practice. Devon is just preparing, letting him work. This is why the practice polls between Matt and Devon are looking close. Otherwise, it won't be close. And my reply is, have you ever seen a Devon versus Matt match? They always look close, even during real competitions. Like when was the last time when Devon completely dominated you? Round one has always been close, and this is what people forget. They say that this time the practice is looking close just because it is practice. No, it isn't. Their matches always look close. This is my opinion. This is what I've seen.
And it's just the angle that I pull him at. I got a little bit of a kryptonite for Devon, but not the full package. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like where he's a little vulnerable in where I attack him, but there's a little more tools I need to be able to finish it, kind of deal. And it's practice, right? Like it's when me and Devon get on a practice day, we're not trying to kill each other, right? Like there's probably some times where I could have pinned Devon, but I'm not going to because it's not about that when we're practicing together. And there's times where he's probably could have done the same thing to me, but it wasn't about that, right? So, but I can tell you right now, compared to like when we would grip up before, like if you've seen us on the floating dock in the water out at my cottage, I was controlling him a lot more. And it wasn't until I'd get really close to the pad to where I'd struggle a lot more with him. Now he's not here. It's here is where you start to struggle with him, right? Like even when he'd pull a whole bunch of other people in practices, he'd always be pulling out here. He'd always be pulling out here. It's not till about 40 minutes into practice or day 4 or 5 where he starts to get open. He's a lot tighter, right?
So you are saying that he's stronger at the center.
He's
more
strong.
And more.
He's way fucking stronger in this than he has been in probably the last 7 years. My God honest fucking opinion. He is like his hand is fatter. Everything is a lot harder to deal with. Like and fresh for fresh, like had we had went at it, like fully went at it, I don't think I would have been able to get Devon's arm as close to the pad as I have in the past when we've trained. Like he's a different human being now. So like he is. Like my chances of beating him right now in the position he's in and the state I'm in is honest to God, like 0 to 1%. So, and I'm being realistic just for how he's actually feeling. Like it's not human. You know what I mean?